Welcome back to the channel. So in the last video, what we talked about were what I considered four of the essentials, the basics that you need to cover in order to build thick muscle and have really great strength, okay? Really reach your peak performance. So what were they? First, there was diet. Then we talked about training, a little bit about ways for supporting recovery. And then at the top of the pyramid were the supplements. So today what I'd like to go into is a diet that's designed really to optimize performance, what you're able to do in the gym, pushing through some really tough sets, some of the longer workouts like leg, backs, things like that. But also it's going to support muscle growth with the protein involved and all the different vitamins, nutrients, things that are going to be included with some of the foods. What I found is I've worked with different bodybuilding coaches throughout my time, and a lot of them, when they're writing meal plans for you, they'll basically give you a set of macros that they want you to have and be able to meet for different periods as you get closer to your event. So for example, what your diet that they write for you is going to look like is going to be different 10 weeks out versus say 3 weeks, 2 weeks, and 1 week out. However, most coaches won't actually tell you exactly what to eat at different times in the day to help optimize your performance in the gym. What they will usually do is say, hit these macros on a given week or given weeks, and these are some different food choices that you can choose, but you're kind of on your own insofar as what you want to put together for your diet. And I know that can be challenge for some of you all. And so what I'd like to do is give you an example of how I often eat and something you may want to consider adding into your own diet. Now, when I go through this, don't get overwhelmed. It's a lot of information. We're going to break it down. But something you might want to take away is, well, maybe I can include one of these meals in what I currently do. And that should help out with your goals. If you're trying to bump up your calories a little bit, add some extra protein, and get a little performance boost in the gym. However, if you want to go all in and your goal is to kind of, really develop your physique to the best of your ability, really thick, massive muscles, or get really strong, what I would recommend is, follow a diet pretty close to like this, and then get on a good program. There's lots of great programs out there. Most programs work if you're intense and you're consistent. If you need something free to jump into, check out mine. It's free. It's on my channel. All right, guys, let's jump right in. So this diet is really going to be geared to somebody who weighs, let's say, between about 190 and 210 pounds. If your body weight's much different than that, you might want to make some adjustments in these macros that I'll go through, but it's a good baseline. So really the goal of this diet is to, support protein. So you want to get about, I would say 0.8 to a gram of protein per pound of body weight. Now, there's really nothing wrong with going a little over a gram. Myself personally, right now, I am eating over a gram because I'm peaking my strength for my bench press. However, if you're in a different phase, like you're into bodybuilding and you're trying to bulk up during the winter, absolutely nothing wrong. You're going to put on a little bit extra muscle as you bump that protein. But when you do that, there's other things you need to take into consideration as well. You want to be hitting different things like getting vegetables, okay? You want leafy greens, okay? You really want to keep your blood from getting too acidic with all that protein that you're ingesting. You want to get your water intake up, so shoot for a gallon or even a little bit more every day. So let's jump into these meals. All right, the first meal we have here, I like to start my morning off, with a big hit of protein, some carbs, some fat, so a really complete meal as far as macros go. And in order to do that, I'll go with eggs. So you see here, 7 eggs with 3 yolks. And the reason I include the yolk is because that will create a complete protein with the egg. Okay, so if all you're eating is the egg whites, yes, you're not getting the fat, but you're also not getting a complete amino profile. And so your body is not going to be processing that in the same way. So 3 pieces of bacon, 4 strawberries, they're delicious, and a half an avocado. The other thing with this diet you'll find is I'm not trying to overwhelm you with big meals, okay? And I'm also trying to keep it simple in that it's only going to take you about 4 minutes or so for each of these meals to be prepared. So you're saving time, and it tastes pretty good too. So the macros I'm going to break down, and basically for this first meal we got 42 grams of protein, 35 grams of carbs, 34 grams of fat, and 530 calories. It's not a whole lot of calories. You should be able to feel full for quite a bit though off of that. The other thing you're going to notice as I go is the way I space my fats and carbs throughout the day. I'll go a little more in depth with that. But take note, this first meal, you'll see quite a bit of fat in it, okay? The other meal that you're gonna see quite a bit of fat in is the last meal. So before bed, I like to get a bit of fat in my diet because it's going to help overnight with hormone production. It's gonna help with feeling full. You know, you're not gonna wake up hungry. And it's gonna support a slower release of protein with the foods that we have here. Now the other thing is the way I space out my carbs. So yes, I eat carbs throughout the day, but there's two main times where I get a big hit of carbs, and that's gonna be right before and then right after the workout. So let's look at what I eat right before the workout. Typically I'll have a protein drink, and with that, about 40 grams, 30-40 grams is good. And then I'll add 1 cup of steel cut oatmeal into the blender and a banana. Okay, so that's giving me plenty of carbs. You know, the steel cut oats are those slower digesting carbs that are gonna keep me satiated and keep my energy up throughout the entire workout, if it's an hour and a half or whatever. And then the banana is gonna give me a quick hit of energy as well to jump into my sets. So there you can see that's my pre-workout meal. Usually I'll wait about 45 minutes, sometimes about an hour after that, digest it a little bit, jump in, do my workout. Now, as soon as possible after my workout, and if it's not immediately after, that's fine, I'll have another meal that has pretty high carbs. So you can see this meal, again, has a bunch of protein. So I like to have 3 cups of plain non-fat Greek yogurt. I recommend getting the bigger containers because you're gonna save money. And don't worry about the flavor, even though it's non-fat. What I'm adding to this is going to help add flavor that makes it delicious. So what do I like to put in? A couple blueberries, all right? You're gonna get tons of nutrients from those blueberries, vitamins, things like that. And then 3 tablespoons of honey. And I know that sounds like a lot of carbs, and that's really the only part of this diet where you're gonna find sugar, okay? Because I like to keep sugars kind of low within my diet day to day. But I think right after a workout is an excellent time to get some simple sugars. John Meadows, amazing professional bodybuilder, talks about this all the time where, after you've torn your muscles down, your, depleted glycogen stores, things like that from your workout, you want to get a quick replenishment. And these simple sugar, the carbs from the honey, are going to spike up your insulin. And when that happens, and you also ingest this protein, okay, that's going to shuttle it right back into your muscles. You're going to get your glycogen stores back up, and you're going to feel great, and you're going to get in that recovery phase quicker. So then following that, again, I like to get veggies in throughout the day. So I like to go with a salad, quick, easy to prepare, and actually tastes really good. So I'm going to get 2 cups of baby spinach. You want to go 3 cups, that's fine. Baby spinach, I said baby versus typical spinach because it has a little bit more nutrient value to it. And then we have 1 pouch of the chunk white tuna. I like chunk white tuna. It's a little bit thicker, and I get it with water. I don't prefer the oil. And the pouches are nice because they're quick. You can squeeze the water out really easily versus the cans. They're a little bit messier. They take some more time, whatever. So if you can, grab some of those pouches. And then with that, I'll also throw in about a 1/4 cup of sliced almonds. And 3 strawberries, and you don't have to go with strawberries, but try and have some fruit in there as well. So again, I'm not going to go through all the macros, but I have them listed. I'm sure you can see that. So protein was 25, carbs 16, fat was 22. So you can see the carbs in this meal, since they're not immediately surrounding the workout, aren't quite as high. Okay, they came down a little bit. Now, meal number 5, guys, if you can afford to get yourself steak or some kind of red meat, I absolutely recommend it. Now, you'll notice in this particular day of eating, I don't have chicken in here. Nothing against chicken. I think it's a wonderful thing to include in your diet. However, and Stan Efferding will talk about this too, steak, red meat is going to have a lot of things that you won't get from a really lean piece of chicken. You're going to get things like vitamin B12, which gives you lots of energy. You're going to get creatine, which we all know is a great performance booster. You're also going to get some saturated fat in there. And I know a lot of people are, oh my goodness, saturated fat, oh no. Well, guess what, guys? As a natural lifter, you need some fats in your diet, and those saturated fats actually help your body's production with hormones and testosterone and things like that. So I'm going to go on a tangent real quick, but I'm not a big proponent of keto or low to no carb diets for people who are, not enhanced, like they're not taking exogenous hormones, because the fat is actually supportive of, like I had mentioned, hormones and testosterone production in particular. So you definitely, if you're a natural lifter, want to be getting some of those fats in your diet. The reason people like, Mark Bell and a lot of these other people can get away with having keto, almost no carbs in their diet, is because they have testosterone coming from outside sources. They don't need their body to be creating it any longer. But natural, if you're natural, you absolutely want to have some fats. So getting back to this meal, we have some more greens you can see, a cup of broccoli, a baked potato, and then macros for that. You're going to get a ton of protein here, 55 for protein, 44 for carbs, and then 10 grams of fat. And then my last meal, and guys, this one I will kind of give you a couple options. So I'll talk about what's here, and then I'll go into something else. So the reason I chose this is A, it's quick, B, it's delicious, okay? You're not gonna get a sweet craving and eat junk before bed, which is a horrible idea. You don't want a bunch of sugar before bed. And C, it's just filling, okay? So let's look at what we have. We have 4 tablespoons of peanut butter. Brand doesn't really matter that much. If you really want to go all out and, you have lots of money to spend, almond butter is great too. And then I said 1 large apple, your preference, whatever type of apple you like. And basically what that's going to give you is a nice hit of protein before bed, so 20 grams. Not too many carbs, you're going to get 32 grams of carbs. And then you're going to get quite a bit of fat, so you're going to get 38 grams of fat. But like I said earlier, before bed is not a bad time to have some healthy fats, okay? Because it's going to kind of slow things down as far as your digestion process. Again, remember, when you go to sleep, you're going to be without food for 8 or more hours, quite possibly. So, there's nothing wrong with things processing a little bit slowly during that time. Now, I'm going to jump back to what I said before, where another option that's super simple, but you might get tired of, I know I do, is cottage cheese, guys. It's so cheap, it's so convenient, it's loaded with protein, okay? It's got casein that's gonna slow the protein digestion overnight. And what you can do with that, I mean, if you're hardcore, go for a straight cottage cheese, eat that, great for you. But as far as me, I like a little bit of flavor. You can do things like put, a little bit of fruit. Don't go crazy with it right before bed, but a little bit of fruit can help with that. You can drizzle just a little bit, keep it light, of honey in there, and then I'll add some flavor. Now, if you want to go with like a straight bodybuilder type before bed meal, when I was getting ready for shows and stuff like that, what I like to do is I actually would get the cottage cheese, and then, I would get some peanut butter, a couple tablespoons of peanut butter, stir it into like a little concoction, and it actually doesn't taste too bad. I mean, the consistency is pretty thick, but the flavor really just tastes like a kind of creamy, peanut butter. It's not bad. So that's another option. All right, guys, so to kind of summarize what the macros for this day of eating would be, we have 213 grams of protein. So you can see it's a little bit over that gram, but not highly over. We have 259 grams of carbs. Generally, especially days where you're training, I like to see carbs a little higher than the protein, okay? And then we have 108 grams of fat. And for the most part, fat is always going to be the lowest in this diet of the 3 macros, no matter what day it is, okay? Now, something that I would absolutely recommend, and I personally do, and I credit to how I'm able to have the strength that I have because I can train as hard as I do, recover from all the hard training I do, and then have pretty thick muscles, is carb cycling. So how do you do that? Well, for carb cycling, a diet like this, I might do 4 days a week, okay? If you look at my workout plan, you'll see it's kind of structured for a 4-day workout throughout the week. So this is something I might eat on those 4 days. However, on the days that are off, and I'm not really, lifting weights or breaking my muscles down, what I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce the carbohydrates in my diet, okay? So generally what I'll look to do is I'll have my carbs fall just below where my protein is, okay? So say around 200 grams, even a little bit lower for carbs. But then what I will do to make up those calories and to keep me full and not eating junky foods is I'll bump up healthy fats. So a simple way to do that, guys, is just go through what I've laid out for you on this, this whiteboard, and look for areas on those off days where you can cut back your carbs a little bit, not hard to do, and bump up your protein a little bit. So I'll just give you some quick examples. For this first meal, add in an extra yolk, okay, so 4 yolks, and then cut out the strawberries. Boom, that's an easy adjustment. For some of your other meals, again, we have fruit, pull the fruit out. Easy adjustment. Meal number 3. You don't have to take all of the carbs out, but maybe what you do is you cut back on the honey and you don't use blueberries or you use fewer, okay? So I'm not going to go through all of the different adjustments you can make, but you can see, what I wanted to present with you here is an actual layout of all of the different foods that I eat, and you may want to consider adding some of these meals into your diet. Now, jumping back to the macros I have listed up here underneath, you'll see I have the calories listed, so it falls just under 3,000. For a guy like myself who is right around 200, I kind of bounce between, 198, 205 in that range. This diet absolutely supports muscle recovery. I'm able to, train with a lot of intensity, a lot of volume, and feel fully recovered every session. So, as a 41-year-old guy, that's something that I really like and enjoy, being able to go in and not feel sore and fresh every time I go to train. I have plenty of carbs, especially on these training days where I'm doing, lots of volume in my workouts to support the workout, the energy. I don't feel the need for caffeine or for pre-workouts or for things like that because I'm manipulating my carbs around my workout to give me that energy in a much more natural way, okay? Not saying, never touch a pre-workout, but that's something to think about, if you're relying very heavily on them. And then as far as fat, like I had mentioned, especially if you're a natural athlete, you're going to want to have some fats in your diet. It's going to be healthy and support, not just feeling full throughout the day, but it's going to also support hormone production, which we all know testosterone, is going to help protein turnover in your body. It's going to really help with strength levels too. And then the last thing I wanted to just touch on is that 25 minutes up there. Guys, none of these meals should take you much more than about 4 minutes. That's it. I know that a lot of us are like, food prep takes forever, and you might just throw something together and the macros aren't that great. Well, now you have some options, Pull this video up, pause it, look at some of the different options I laid, but keep in the back of your mind, guys, 3-4 minutes is all most of these meals will take to throw together. So if you have these different ingredients sitting in your refrigerator, sitting in your cabinets, and you have 4 minutes, you got a meal to throw together and build some muscle. All right, guys, well, if you like this video, be sure to like the video. Stay tuned. I got a lot more great content on the way, and I hope you all enjoy the rest of your weekend.